Today I'm here with naturopath and nutritionist Sharon Johnston. Welcome.
Hi.
Morning. It's so nice to actually have you here with us today. I know we've spent the last sort of 8 months communicating remotely.
I know, it's been fun.
Oh goodness, it's been such a year. Gosh, globally, but you know, here in Victoria, we've had a particularly tough time. So thank you so much for coming in here and having a bit of a chat about your expertise. So tell me, exactly what do you do?
Well, as you said, I'm a naturopath and nutritionist working here in Melbourne, CBD. So my job is very much dealing with clients when I'm consulting in terms of going through their health, any health concerns,
Yes.
and their general diet and lifestyle choices, so that I can recommend to them what changes could be made in order to improve their health overall, or just even long term, they want to know that they've got the best diet, nutrition for themselves. So it's very much working on a holistic approach.
Yes.
And yeah, just getting them on the right tracks for long-term health too.
We all need a bit of that, I think, after the year we've had. Absolutely.
Yes, there's a few people suffered in lockdown.
Yes, and you know, when you say holistically, I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. You know, if I'm looking to perhaps make some tweaks to my health holistically, what sort of things would I be looking at?
Yeah, so I guess I do talk to people very much about what they're eating. Obviously that's a big part, the nutrition side of things, but then their lifestyle choices in terms of the type of exercise they're doing, how much they're doing, if that's right for them. A lot of people actually over-exercise.
Really?
And that puts a lot of stress on the body.
Wow, okay.
So, you know, making adjustments like that where people haven't really thought about it. And then, you know, we might talk about skincare routines, for instance, and using the right products on your skin for cleaning. So obviously I'm very much about natural products that don't have synthetic chemicals, preservatives, fragrances in them. So that's a big part of what I do, is educating people about what those products actually do to their skin and inside their body as well.
We just don't realise, and I think someone told me recently, that the skin is our biggest organ. Is
it
that
is
correct?
the biggest organ, of course. It's covering us completely.
And we just, you know, we often don't give that the time or even the thought it deserves.
Yeah, and it's a defense mechanism. It's like a barrier too. So you think, you know, you don't want to be putting products on there that are going to break down its defenses.
My goodness, I would imagine then that it just opens up so many conversations when you are talking to someone about potentially what they're doing.
You do have to try and keep it focused. And I often send, you know, product links and everything to people afterwards, so they get an idea of the types of products that I recommend.
Great.
To.
And tell me, you know, going back to when you first thought, okay, this is what I want to do, how did you get into naturopathy?
Yeah, well, I initially studied a clinical nutrition degree and food science degree in the UK. So I was always very interested in food and nutrition growing up. There was one point I wanted to become a chef, and then I kind of thought, don't really want to spend all my time in a kitchen.
No, some very late finishes and some very early starts for a chef. Yeah.
And I was just thinking, well, what do I want to go and study? And loved the sound of that. And it was quite a diverse degree, and I really enjoyed the nutrition part. But I ended up going into more the food industry. So I worked in corporate sector for about 10 years, doing some product development as a buyer in different large retailers in the UK, and actually had my first exposure to really essential oils because I worked at the Body Shop. And was working in their fragrance area as a category manager. And so I learned more about all the fragrance notes, and some of the best ones obviously come from natural
from the plant part
things, but then they're made into synthetic
so
formulations. And I was like, well, why don't they just use the natural part of it?
Absolutely. It's amazing, isn't it? I certainly learned in my journey that, you know, there certainly is the synthetic and then of course the natural fragrance, and it's just so interesting to hear about, you know, then some of the benefits that can come with the the natural part of the plant, rather than that synthetic fragrance. But it can be hard to tell the difference.
So then when I moved to Australia, I decided I wanted a bit of a career change and to have my own business. So that's when I looked into doing the naturopathy degree, which has a large element of nutrition in there. It's a much more holistic nutrition degree as well. So I did the naturopathy and worked part-time, still in a corporate job, which is great.
That's
very busy.
I was about to say that's certainly juggling, isn't it? Yeah.
And then as soon as I qualified, I opened my own practice here in Melbourne.
Yes.
And it's almost 10 years now.
Oh my goodness, what an exciting journey. It's so incredible to hear about that transition, and so often you can be passionate about something, but having that backing that you had with your previous career would have been just so helpful.
Yeah, the business side that I learnt in my 10 years of corporate life was really beneficial in terms of understanding how to manage the business as well as be a good practitioner, because they very much go hand in hand.
Yes. Oh. So look, I'd love to talk immunity, and I know again that's a big one for everybody this year, and tying that in with that holistic well-being, what are some of the sorts of things we can sort of lean into for immunity, or I guess trying to increase our immunity?
Yeah, well, probably one of the biggest things, which we've already discussed, is gut health.
Okay.
I don't know if you know, but 70-80% of the immune system is actually in the gut. So when people are not looking after themselves, not eating well, getting run down, that's when often they get sick. So stress plays a big part of that as well, because that raises cortisol, one of the stress hormones that can actually lower your immunity.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then combined, then if people are busy and not eating as well, it kind of has that snowball effect.
Because it all goes hand in hand.
Yeah, so I'm again talking to people about those lifestyle choices, diet choices to support their immune system. Often people don't have enough protein in their diet.
Okay.
If you think protein's the building blocks to all the cells, particularly making those white blood cells, which are our immune system. If they're not having enough protein in their diet, then they won't be creating the sort of the fundamental parts of the immune system.
Right.
And supporting it in that way. And then just making sure that they're using products that are supporting themselves. So often I will recommend, if people starting to feel a bit unwell, that they start to use more foods that will help them to improve their immune system. So things like garlic is fantastic for boosting immunity. Having herbal teas that have got like the echinacea blends, or those types of herbs that support immune function overall. Things like ginger is good in terms of its anti-inflammatory, antioxidant effects. All of those types of things also support the immune system.
Nice. And look, it sounds like you're very much up for a natural alternative, or looking to natural options to improve overall health, of course. And what about yourself personally? What sort of things do you look to, even in your sort of time, to support, I guess, your overall sort of health and well-being naturally? Yeah,
well, obviously, as a naturopath, I do take some supplements to support myself, which may be herbal or nutritional supplements, and especially if I felt like I was getting sick, then I would start taking some of those.
The garlic.
Yep. Yeah, the garlic, and I then, if I do start to get a bit of a cold, or I've suffered quite badly with hay fever this season, it's been particularly bad. So then I'll start to maybe use some of the essential oils. I do like the saline rinses. It's a little bit congested. And we have some products that contain some of the essential oils like thyme, lavender, eucalyptus, which is obviously really good at helping.
Such a good decongestant.
Yeah, to clear the airways. And I very much recommend that to clients too. So rather than taking things like Cotterell decongestants, that they do a steam inhalation before they go to bed, and they put some of the eucalyptus oil in there and do some deep breathing. Thyme's another one that's really good, particularly if there's a bit of a chest involvement, a cough.
Oh, look, I couldn't agree more. That Thyme Pure Essential, I find, is a real unsung hero. It's not one we talk about a lot.
I mean, it doesn't smell amazing, so it's probably not as attractive to people from that perspective. But I mean, it's a very strong antimicrobial. So a lot of these oils do have very potent antimicrobial effect. And I mean, thyme is a liquid herb that I will use very often if people do have a cold or a cough, because it's a very good antimicrobial, antiviral, and works, like I said, on the chest area. So I'll use all of the liquid herbs that they contain some of those essential oils in them as well, and then you can get them internally through the herbal tinctures.
And steam inhalation, I love that you've mentioned that, and myself being such a user of pure essential oils over the years, it was one of the first ways I tried, and it was using a breathe blend to actually just give me a little bit of relief. And it's a way that we don't often enjoy pure essential oils now, because we of course have diffusers and massage oils, etc. But I absolutely love that way. It's instant relief at times if you are feeling.
It's more potent than the. I often will have my diffuser going at night as well if I've got a bit of a cold, so I'll put some of the oils there, so it's a bit more passive through the night. But definitely the steam inhalation, it'll clear your airways.
Oh, absolutely. So I need to talk skin with you. Tell me, Sharon, what are some of the things I can do so that I can look after my skin using more natural alternatives?
Yeah, like I'm big on using natural products, obviously, and not putting all those chemicals and synthetic fragrances, etc., into the body, because the skin just is, it's like a sponge. It just absorbs all those things, as we know, and it does then travel into the bloodstream and into the body. So we want to think about what we're putting on to our skin. So I've been a big fan of using essential oils for myself for a long time.
Great.
Because I really dislike, I'm quite sensitive to synthetic fragrances now, so I find it very overwhelming if even I'm with someone who's got a perfume on. So I've not worn perfume or used sort of those chemical fragrances for a long time now. And so, I guess I started buying products that had the essential oils in them, probably to start with. And then as I became a bit more knowledgeable and confident myself, I would generally buy unfragranced creams that were all quite natural, organic, and then start adding whatever essential oil that I felt like. Often now, because my skin is aging, so I've become a bit more conscious and needed a few more layers, because I've naturally got drier skin. So I can obviously tailor my skincare to that depending on the day. Obviously in winter, you need a bit more protection. So I tend to find the easiest way that I get the oils use them now is I use a base of a rosehip oil or something like that, and I'll add either to the bottle, I'll add a mix of essential oils. I love the rose one for obviously older skin. It's great. Lavender's always beautiful. Chamomile I really like as well. So I'll either just mix it up in my hand on the day, depending if I feel like something a little bit different. And what I love about it is that it's almost like a ritual as well, and especially at night time, if I'm putting on, the lavender and chamomile, which are so relaxing too, and you just then get the scent of it as you're putting it on your face.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Just that all-encompassing. Yes, the scent, but just that, like you mentioned, ritual, just taking that moment to sort of wind down before bed. And
it does, it makes me take more time and be more mindful about what I'm doing. So, I always try to do a little bit of, massage as well at the same time. So it just takes a bit longer, but it's a good investment in time.
Absolutely. And you mentioned you love, perhaps rose or lavender, and I agree, those florals, and making that, into a beautiful blend for skincare is something I love to do also. But tell me, what are some of your favourite pure essential oils to blend, perhaps, before bedtime? Or have you got a favourite oil that you like to diffuse?
Yeah, I love a mixture of lavender, not too much lavender, because it can be obviously quite overwhelming.
Can be quite polarising, yes.
But like mandarin is really good for relaxing as well, or a sweet orange, just because I love those citrus scents too, but you don't want too much, so it's not uplifting at that time. But yeah, the lavender, chamomile, orange mix. I also find that with my son when I was sleep training him. I used to diffuse in his bedroom that combination,
beautiful.
Which doesn't always help because babies will be babies.
Yes.
But yeah, I do feel it just created this nice aroma and
gorgeous,
relaxed vibe as well.
And I love that you mentioned citrus with floral. I agree. Sometimes lavender, it's a beautiful scent, but it can be quite polarizing. So even a couple of drops with lavender with a couple of drops of either a lemon or mandarin or orange is just I agree, a gorgeous blend.
Gorgeous, yeah.